It lists your achievements, your responsibility, the professional journey, and it's normally up 2 to 3 pages or more, depending on how long you've been working. Yeah. Think about your CV as your professional story in terms of how you went through your education, and then how you started your career journey and where you are at, your personal professional story. And then a cover letter, mainly a one page document that explains why you are a fit for a specific job. So sometimes when you send in an application, most recruiters will look at a cover letter because they want to understand why you're a fit. Yeah. The cover letter is the one that introduces your CV because it highlights key things in your CV into the cover letter. Some people may not even open your CV, but they'll go through your cover letter and be able to tell if you are already a fit for the job or not. So it's important for you to understand that a cover letter is not your CV. The cover letter also shows your personality, your person, and why you are chosen to apply for that particular job and not any other job. Also, why you chose to apply to that NGO, to that company, and not any other. So it is also tailored for every job. So you cannot use the same application for all the jobs that you're applying for. It will not work. So think about the cover letter as your voice, like how you would be telling yourself or the employer why this job is for you, why you need this job now, why you're the best candidate for this job. So those are the key differences in terms of what a CV represents and what a cover letter represents. So a CV and a resume are usually used interchangeably to mean the same thing. Some people write attach your CV stroke resume, and they are used interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. There is some difference. The CV is mainly very comprehensive, and it outlines your entire academic and professional history and list of skills and achievements throughout your career. And they're usually longer than the resume, could exceed even 3 pages. But a resume is mainly very concise summary of most relevant skill, most relevant experience, most relevant qualification for a specific role. Some people ask for resume because they do not have time to go through an entire CV. Because in a CV, you could list quite a number of things. But in the resume, you're being very specific in terms of the skills, the experience, and the qualification you have that are only relevant to that particular job that you are applying for. So that is mainly the key differences. The resume, I said, is very concise. Usually it cannot exceed 2 pages because ask for it, they don't have time to go through an entire very long CV. So they ask for that. So the CV is mainly long. And most NGOs, international organizations, and other academic institutions, they usually require a CV because they want to see your history, your background, how you've come to be. And the CV also emphasizes a lot of in-depth information and also detail. Sorry. Yeah. So those are the differences between a CV and a resume. When somebody asks you to send a resume, just know that they are looking for a summary of everything about you, but for a particular role. So if you are asked for a resume for a particular role, just make a summary of the specific education or qualification that you have, the relevant experience. Don't list everything, just put the ones that that closely aligns with the role that you are trying to apply for. But if they put you as CV stroke a resume, you can choose what to submit. But it's important to know the difference so that when you're writing what is required in terms of the two documents. So here, this page just basically the key differences that I've already mentioned in terms of the length, in terms of the purpose, the usage, customization, and also the details that I've already mentioned. So we'll look at some of the key components of a CV. And the first section of your CV should be the contact information. In terms of your contact information, you should provide your full names. Full names the way it appears on your identification documents. If you have a national ID, if you have a passport, your names should match exactly the ones that are on your identification document. And then you can provide your contacts. Your contacts should have a telephone number and an email address. And then if you have a LinkedIn profile, if you have available, you could add, because that's also a platform that tells so much about your professional background. So you add that. Mainly because there are some information that could create some level of biasness. They are not very important for you to include in your contact. For instance, putting age, marital status, your religion, unless you read in the advert for you to include it, don't add it, because this information usually are used to create some level of biasness. So, for instance, somebody could, if you put an age, somebody will say, oh, this person is too old, you get, or is too young. So they use that against you to judge you. So it's not relevant to put it, because it has nothing to do with your level of fit or a level of qualification or experience. Marital status. It's not important for somebody to know if you're married before they give you a job. It's not relevant, as well as your religion. Now, for religions, there are some organizations who are particular on faith. So they want to know if you align with their values. So they ask you to put it. If they ask for you to put it, you put it there. But if it's not asked, don't put it. They are irrelevant information. And it has nothing to do with your capacity to deliver on the job. So those are some of the things you can highlight in your contact information. Then number two is in terms of your personal statement. So the personal statement is basically a summary of who you are. It's basically introducing you in terms of what you will bring to the table. Think of the summary as your pitch. Like when somebody reads 1 to 2 lines of this statement, they should be like, I think this is good. You get, to create that impression. Even before they go into details, they should read this paragraph and already feel like you are the fit. You get. So the personal statement is very important. You should be able to write a very impactful personal statement on your CV. Most people do not have this on their CVs, so it's important to have it. Then the third component in terms of your CV is the work experience. And yesterday we agreed that work experience does not necessarily have to be formal employment. It includes internships, it includes volunteering. Any work experience that is relevant for the job that you're applying for, you add it. And when you are writing your work experiences, you should write them in a reverse chronological order. What that means is that you should start with the most recent experiences. For instance, I've worked with an NGO in 2019, and then I've worked with another one in 2020, and then I've worked with another one in 2025, and I'm applying for a job opening. The most recent experience is the one with an NGO from 2025. Even if I am not working there at the moment, but that is my most recent experience. So it should appear fast. You get it should appear fast. It should not be that because you started working in 2019, you want to start with the experience in 2019. No, you start with your most recent experience. And how you write your experience is that you must include the job title that you held when you were in that role, and then the organization. You mention the organization, and then you also mention the location where you held that position, and then you mention the dates. The dates in terms of from this period to this period. For some people, they go further to say, maybe I worked, let's say, HR manager, Excellence Foundation, Juba, South Sudan. You get. And then I put in bracket 3 months from April to May. You get. So you are indicating that when somebody looks at that, they're able to say that, oh, she was the HR manager with Excellence Foundation based in Juba, South Sudan. She worked there for 3 months from April to May. So they already understand that that is the information you're trying to pass out. Don't leave out anything. It's very important. Again, under your work experience, you should provide bullet points under each role to describe your responsibilities and achievement. Later, look at how you can create impactful bullet points of how you can write your experiences in your CV at a later time. For now, it's important for you to know that for each role that you're providing, 4 to 5 lines or bullet points of the achievements you have made in that role. It's important for you to include it. Yeah. Then another section for you to have is in terms of your education background. So you should list your education background also in the most recent manner. If you had done a certificate first, don't put if you've done a certificate first, don't put it as your most recent if you already have maybe a master's degree. So if your most recent education is a master's degree, start with a master's degree. And then you now put the others, maybe a bachelor's, maybe a diploma, maybe a certificate. You put that. And then you will write the degree. For instance, you say a bachelor's degree, human resource management. Sorry about that. For instance, you could say bachelor's degree, human resource management. Bachelor's degree, human resource management, Makerere University. And then you can put the year, graduation 2017, for instance, like that. And then there are some people who want you to add CGPA or achievements. It's strong. If sometimes it's good for you to add it, it shows something, but mainly it is not very important for you to add your grade or GPA or a class, like saying, "Oh, I have a first class or a second class," and all of those. It's not very relevant. Yeah, but there are employers who will tell you that you must indicate it. Then if that's a requirement, it's good for you to add it because it's a requirement. So then you go ahead and provide the list of your education in that manner. Then the other section you should have in your CV is in terms of your key skills. Remember, you'll be having so many skills as a person. These are both technical skills. When we talk about technical skills, we are looking at those skills that will help you perform the job. For instance, if I'm a HR person, one of my technical skills should be recruiting. Yeah, that's a technical skill. If I don't know recruiting, I can't do that job. And then in terms of a soft skill, there are skills that can help you excel in the job. They are not technical, they are not learned in class. I mean, you would learn them in how you interact with people. For instance, your interpersonal skills, how you relate with other people, that's a soft skill. So you should be able to pick out relevant skills. It can be both technical and soft skills. Don't list only soft skills alone, because we want to be able to see the technical skills that you're also having in relation to the job that you are applying for. So don't list only the soft skill. Add technical skills first and then add also soft skills that are relevant to the job. Make sure the ones that you're picking are the ones that are relevant to the job and you are able to emphasize how they can help you perform the job. If you have so many skills, just prioritize only the key ones that are relevant. Don't list everything. It will make your CV very bulky. And then another section for you to add in terms of your achievements, in terms of certifications, awards, and also languages. Most times these are optional, including digital tools. Most times they are optional, but so many people want to be able to see what achievements you have made. What projects have you been able to accomplish? This could include research papers and all of those. They want to be able to see what you've done. They also want to be able to see certifications. Have you attained any certifications and all of those? They are added advantage because these are things that could set you apart from the rest of the competitors in the application. For instance, if there are 10 people who all have masters and the employer is looking for somebody who have masters, then they will go further to dig out in terms of what you've done at a personal level, maybe some achievements you have, whether it's a project that you have, whether it's a research paper you've written, whether it is an award you receive, maybe for outstanding student of the year, for academic excellence, and all of those. It's important for you to add them to set you apart from the rest of the students. Sorry. Don't add everything. Add only those that you feel are very relevant to the role that you are applying for. Don't add everything because then you will drag your CV very long to the extent that it will be too bulky for somebody to read through and finish. And then the last section in terms of your CV is the referees. So most times, some people feel that it's important for you to add your referees. Some people are applying for job, especially those ones who are on the job and they want to look for other opportunities and they don't want to put there their current employers. So the best option for you is to say available on request. So you put referees and then you leave a statement saying available on request. That way, when they request it, it is there. But if you don't have anything to hide and you just want to, you're just out there applying for any role, feel free to include at least three referees And then mostly employers are looking for your most recent employer. They want to check where you've worked previously, why you left, and they want to check any disciplinary issues and all of those. So the most important referee is your most recent employer. That is number one. So in the most recent employer, this could be your direct line supervisor, and then it could be a HR person, or the manager, or a CEO or ED of the organization. Those three people should be able to provide references for you in your previous employer. Or if it is your current employer also, it is good to add it so that they are able to get first hand information in terms of who you are, what you've been doing, just to confirm the information that you've put in the CV in terms of your work. And then another referee you can add is in terms of somebody that you've worked with, somebody that knows your work. It could be a mentor, it could be a coach, it could be just about anybody who can vouch for your work. So you can put their contacts there. You could also put somebody from your institution or school or university. You get, so at least three people who can vouch for you in terms of your education, in terms of your work experience, and also maybe your behavior. It's very important. And then when you're writing your CV, don't add people on your CV without talking to them first. I've known from experience that I at some point I reached out to one referee for a certain applicant. And when I call the person like, oh, I'm so and so, I want to do a background check for person X, they have listed you as their references. The feedback I got was terrifying, and I left me wondering, oh, this person talk to this person? Did they fight? What is this? You get. So it's very important for you to talk to the person first. Let them know that they are actually your referee. Let it be people that you are in good terms with. The moment you fight with somebody, just go and remove them from your documents. It's not good to fight with somebody, but life happens. The moment that happens, try and change the contacts or make up with the person if necessary. So it's important for you to update your document or referee or contacts frequently to ensure that the people that are there when they are called do not say negative things about you to spoil your opportunity. Okay. And so we'll be looking at Bida, excuse me. I'll just grab some water. I'm having some sore throat and be back in 2 minutes or 2 seconds.
Yes, all for joining. Feel free to continue dropping your questions because as the session progresses, you may have a lot of questions. So that you don't forget your questions, you drop them in the chat box, or you can write them down on a notebook. And then later on during the Q&A session, you should be able to ask the questions. Otherwise, the session is moving on well so far. And now we are on the types of CV. Are you back now?
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Yes.
I can continue.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we're looking at types of CVs. There are quite a number of types of CVs, and many people do not know that. They feel it's just CV after all, so it's just the same thing. But it's important to know that there are different types, and then you can choose which type that you want to use, but there are most employers that do not define the type of CV. They leave that up to you. So the first type of CV is the chronological CV. So the chronological CV is the most widely used type of CV. Uh, it lists your work experience in reverse order, in the most recent one that comes first, and it emphasizes career progression a lot, and then it's ideal for candidates with consistent work history. What I mean by that is that if you're somebody who has worked throughout, like from year in, year out, progressively, it is a very good choice of CV for you, because then you are able to demonstrate what you have done throughout these years. And then this type of CV is best for professionals who have very clear and stable job path. And then it is also very good for roles where experience is highly valued. So if you're applying for roles where the emphasis is on work experience, this is a type of CV that you can use. And then we have functional CVs. Functional CVs mainly focuses on your skills instead of timelines. It's very best for students or people who have like if you don't have, like fresh graduates or career changers, if you're changing your career, from one field to another, it's very good for you, because then the the emphasis is not in terms of the dates or the job titles that you've held, but the emphasis is in terms of your skill and competencies. They want to be able to see what are your areas of competence, what are the skills that they can benefit from you. So it's important for those kind of people who are fresh graduates, they don't have so much experience to demonstrate. They have maybe skills that they can easily demonstrate that can fit into the role that they are applying for. So that's another type of CV. Uh, and then we have the last one in terms of the combination. So the combination CV have a mix of the both, and it's the type that everybody is using at the moment. It has blends of both the functional and the chronological CV formats. It highlights both the skills while also making provisions for somebody to list their employment history. It offers flexibility and depth, because then you have room to narrate your professional story. It's best for professionals with varied but relevant experience. It doesn't have to be specific to a field, but as long as the experience and the skills are relevant for the role that you are applying for. So, for those of us who want to be in a position where we can showcase both our skills and the previous roles that we held, then we use the combination CV, which I think is everything that most people are using at the moment. Okay, so let's talk about tailoring CV. I think you've heard me say a lot about how you can tailor your CV and what it means to actually tailor your CV. So, to tailor your CV is basically how you are able to showcase through your CV why or how you are the fit for the role that you are applying for. It's important for you to tailor your CV because the recruiters want to see how your experiences match that of the job. If you talk about being a HR manager and I'm applying for a HR manager role. They want me to showcase in my CV how my previous experience is able to match up with the one that they are requesting for, because the context in terms of the organization and maybe job level and all that is different. It is also the case for where you are now applying for a more senior role. For instance, if I'm a HR manager now and I want to apply for maybe a HR advisor or a director role, I should be able to demonstrate how my current experience as a HR manager is able to match the role of the HR advisor or HR director. So recruiters want to be able to see that now by tailoring, you are able to showcase how your experiences are matching. And then a generic CV may be overlooked even if you're qualified. If your CV is not talking, even if you're qualified, it will just be tossed away. It will not be looked at. When you tailor your CV, you are able to show effort, show clarity, and relevance to the position you are applying for. Every CV should be tailored to the job advert. Do not apply without tailoring your CV. So, how do you tailor your CV? When you think about tailoring your CV, think about how your CV in your when you are applying, it could be through your cover letter and your CV, both of the documents. Think about how are you able to demonstrate that you can do this job just by writing the words. Because if you are given the opportunity, of course you can be able to do it. But you're not there, you don't have the opportunity yet. So, what should you write that will help the recruiter feel that yes, this person can do this job? That is tailoring. Then, for you to be able to do that, first of all, read the job descriptions carefully, highlight the keywords and the required skills. That's why we did the analysis yesterday. And that's why you're seeing how relevant it is right now. If you've not done analysis for the role that you're applying for, it's very hard for you to understand what is required and tailor your CV to mirror what is required. So it's important for you to do the analysis and understand what is required. Number two, mirror the language used in the job advert. For instance, if the job advert is saying uh, project coordination, use the phrase if it is very relevant. Don't use any other. Don't create your own phrase. Use the same phrases they are using in the advert. That way, for instance, if your application is going through an ATS, it is already clear and the ATS will be able to pick it out. But if it does not mirror the word or the language that is being used, it will be drop off because the assumption is that it does not match the advert, even if you are skilled enough to do the job. And then another aspect is for you to prioritize relevant experience. I've mentioned that chronologically, you should be able to move relevant roles and skills on your CV. Don't put everything, put the ones that align very, very well with the job that you are applying for. Then also adjust your personal summary. So when you are tailoring your CV, the personal summary does not stay the same because you are applying for different roles. So each time you are applying, you should be able to adjust your personal summary as well. That way, it is able to clearly state how you are a match for the role. and also the organization. And then the last one is use achievements that align with the job. Quantify your results where possible. Don't list the experiences that you've done. For instance, if you talk about, if you say, for example, in your role, I managed, okay, I was responsible for managing files, it is simply just a list of what you did. It does not show how you did it, how well you did it. You get. You could say something like maybe um, digitalized maybe 200 staff files. Now you are quantifying the result. Then somebody can be able to say that, oh yeah, 200, that's great. You get. If you did awareness, you cannot say, I carried out awareness session. It is very generic. You have to indicate how you did the awareness and how many people you reached through the awareness. That's how you're able to demonstrate achievements and quantifying your achievements through your experience. It's very important. So those are some of the ways you can use to tailor your CV. Yeah, I did mention this. Um, don't just list your tasks, show the impact that you've created through the tasks. And what employers normally want to see is, what did you actually do? What skill did you use? And what was the result or the impact? It's very important. And all of those must be able to show up in your experience for each of the role that you're going to put there, and the 4 to 5 bullet points that you're writing, you must be able to demonstrate what you actually did, what skill you used, and what impact you've created through the work that you did. So basically, I've provided the action plus task plus results formula that helps you to organize your experience. Supported administrative tasks are the basics. For improved version, they organized 3 events that reached over 500 participants. You see the difference? You are not just saying you organize your events, you're saying you organize the events, what type of events, and the impact you've created. You're able to see that clearly. Handled reports, you could say compiled monthly financial reports with 100% accuracy. So through this, you are able to demonstrate the action that you took. You're able to demonstrate how you did it and the impact that you have created. So it's very important for you to use action verbs. Use action verbs when you are writing your experiences. Action verbs that describe what you've done, like you coordinated, you led, you facilitated, you managed, you supported, you trained, you analyzed, you implemented, you get. Because these are the things that show what you've done. So there are a number of common mistakes that we normally make in our documents, which it's important for you to get it clear now and avoid them. The most common one is in terms of the spelling and grammar errors. Some of us do not go through our documents carefully. We write it roughly and it has a lot of grammar errors and spelling errors. So the moment you submit a document like that, it shows that you don't pay attention to detail. So always proofread your work. And there are a number of softwares like Grammarly that you can use to proofread your work. That way you are sure that it is error free. Another mistake is that we are only using one generic CV for all the jobs. It is very wrong because when you're using one generic CV, it does not, you have not tailored it to the specific role. Yeah. If you are tailoring it, it increases your chances of being shortlisted. But a generic CV is just too generic that it does not show how you are a fit for a particular role. So let's avoid that mistake. And then poor formatting. Poor formatting could mean using different font types in your document, inconsistency in terms of the structure. It is not very clean, it is too squeezed, not well organized, and all of those. So make sure that your official documents are properly formatted to ensure that it looks very professional. When somebody opens it and looks at it, yeah, it's able to show some level of professionalism from you. Then another mistake is listing your duties instead of achievement. This is where we came from. Don't say what you did, just show the impact that you've made. Ensure that you are providing your achievements and they should be measurable. And then including irrelevant or outdated information. There are a number of information that are irrelevant. You shouldn't put them in your CV. Some things like hobbies, they are not relevant in your CV. They have nothing to do with your capacity to perform on the job. So you remove them. They are outdated jobs or skill. For instance, if you held a position in primary school, I don't see how that can be very relevant for your CV. If you are a fresh graduate, your relevant skills should stop at maybe the university level. Even at the secondary level, it's already too far because the 4 years probably you've spent at university should be enough for you to demonstrate that you're a fit within the 4 years. So other informations are very outdated. You don't need to add them. And then sorry, another mistake that we make is in terms of omitting dates or job titles. And when we write our experience, we don't write the title that we held or when we've held that position within that organization. So if you don't put it, we will assume that you actually didn't work there. You are simply lying about it. So it's important for you to put the title you held and when you were there so that when somebody sees it, they see that, okay, this person is confident about this. And when they pick up their phone to call and check, they are sure that the dates and titles that you've provided will match with the ones that the referee will confirm. So those are some of the key mistakes I've seen over the years people keep repeating throughout in their CVs. Yeah. So I've provided a practical example in terms of how we would break down our summary, like the personal statement I've talked before. I've put one practical example in terms of how you will write a very nice professional summary for yourself. So if your summary reads something like, I'm a hardworking and motivated individual looking for a job in a dynamic organization where I can learn and grow. It does not, it is not a hook. It does not demonstrate how you are a fit for the role. It's basically very generic, yeah. But if you write something impactful in terms of your value, in terms of what you bring to the table, it communicates something. So the improved version of the summary reads something like results driven HR professional with 3+ years experience in recruiting and employee relation. That alone is already highlighting the skills that you are having. Yeah. Proven ability to streamline onboarding processes and support organizational growth, passionate about creating inclusive and high performing teams. Already you can see the difference between the first person and the second person. The first person is basically not showing why they are a fit, what they bring, what value they hold, and all of those. But the second person is showcasing who they are, what they're able to do, and what value they're able to bring to the organization. So that is very important. It's important for you to know that through your summary, you should be able to tailor it to reflect the kind of value that you are bringing to the organization. I think that's everything that needed to be covered under the CV. I've provided an example in terms of the work experience example. I think we've gone over the examples in terms of how you can write your experiences. You can look at that. I don't know if we should have a few questions before we look at the cover letter, Bida, or we can just continue and have one Q&A session later.
Pardon?
I'm asking if we should continue on to the cover letter or have a break for some questions.
Yeah, I see there are a lot of questions in the chat box, so I suggest we can address these questions before moving to the other one.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, you can leave the screen sharing, and then I will just read the question.
Oh, okay. Let me just
Yes.
go back and share.
Yeah. Otherwise, thank you guys. You guys are all quiet. Looks like it's been like we people are
A lot
learning.
of information at once.
Yes. But it's good. If you have any concerns, you just leave them in the chat box. Yes. So I see the first question here. The first question here is from Garang Mo. He's asking that is the year not important in the work experience? Like the years you have worked with an entity, are they not important to mention in the CV?
The year of experience you've worked with a entity.
Yes. For example, let's say you have worked from 2023 to 2025. Shouldn't it be included? That is what he's asking. Is it not important?
I think I've mentioned that. I just want to go back and yeah, I did mention that when you are writing your experience, you should write here. If you see, I've put job title, organization, location, and dates. Date
Yes.
is the year you get.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
important for you to have it. Even if there are few months, you should also add it. That's why when I told you, I was giving you an example of HR manager, Excellence Foundation, Juba, South Sudan, from April 2025 to, it's very important for you to add it. It's very important for you to add it.
Great. Thank you. The next question is from Majok Machar. He's asking, what does it mean by available on request in the reference section? Is it like you mentioned it? Sorry, yeah, he's asking, what does it mean by available on request in the reference section?
So here, what I meant is that for me, like personally, when you are applying, like you are currently working and you want to apply for other opportunities, you feel you want to leave your current employer. You don't want to tell them that I want to leave, like I'm looking for another job, unless you notify them, you quit, and then you go and start looking for other job. But when you are on contract and you feel you need to continue applying for other opportunities while still working with your current employer, because the condition is one of your referees must be your current employer. So if you don't want to put them uh, on your list, you can just write that the referees are available on request. That way, when they look at your CV and they now it's successful and they want to reach out to your referees, they will tell you, now please provide the contacts of your referees, and then you will give them. That's the meaning of available on request. It means that you will not list them on your CV, because on your CV you have to put the name of the referee, their contacts, the title, maybe they are holding, and the organization, and all of those. So you will not list that, and you will not list all the three of them. You will just say that your referees are available on request, that when they need it, you will provide it. That's the meaning.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. My joke, your question is answered. And again, another question from Garang. Garang is asking that are hobbies not needed in a CV, or is it to be added based on the request? Hobbies.
Okay. So hobbies are not relevant information for you to add on the CV, because it has nothing to do with your capacity to deliver on the job. You get? I want to give you an example. If you're my hobby, for instance, me personally, I love to watch movies. You get? So how does me watching movies help me do my HR work? It doesn't. You get? It doesn't. In fact, there is no relationship between the two things. But I love to watch movies. In my free time, I should just uh, go to Netflix and watch movies. But it has nothing to do with how I perform my work as a HR person. So hobbies are very irrelevant information. They will make your CV long for nothing. Use that space to add some things that are relevant. Hobbies are not relevant. In fact, no employer will ask you for your hobbies, except maybe when you are applying for a sports role. If you are maybe a sports, I don't know, I've never seen that. If you are maybe applying for a sportsman somewhere, and they want to see if you are hobbies actually in that sport or something. But if I want to know what your passions are, what drives you, I will ask you that in the interview, because it's important for me to know how you spend your leisure time. It's important as a HR person, but I will ask that in the interview. Mm. But I
Great.
cannot tell you to put it in the CV.
Great. Yeah, thank you. So Garang, don't put hobbies on your CV. Yeah, you would say you like watching TikTok, and then
It
the,
will be
the
used against you.
yeah, the hiring manager will say, "Ah, this guy will use our internet for just TikTok." Yeah, so the other person is asking that, for example, I have a colleague working in an organization like WFP. Is it good to list that person as a referee? And the second question is asking is, what are the keywords to be added to the profile summary? I think that one has been answered already, because he put the question before you talked about the profile summary. So you
Oh,
can just ask, you can just answer the first question where he is asking. He has a colleague working in an organization like WFP. Is it good to list that person as a referee?
okay. So it is okay to put them only if you have worked with that person before. You get? So if they are your work colleagues and they can vouch for your professional work, it's good to put them. But if it's just a friend, somebody who cannot tell anything about your competencies, your work, then you can't put them as a referee. It's just that blunt. You can't put somebody who can't talk about your work, how good you are at what you do. They can't be on your CV as referees. Referees are only for people who can talk to any other person about you, maybe your education, maybe your work experience. So those are the two people that you can only put on your CV as your referee. A friend is a friend. It could be your colleague, somebody you've worked with in the same office is okay, because they are able to tell that this person is good at one, two, three things. But if they are just an acquaintance or friend that cannot tell anything about how you've worked, you can't put them.
Great, thank you. Yes, and then also she also mentioned that always you need to inform those people that you put as referees. Inform
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
yes, that we have put you as my referees for this role. or I am considering putting you, they need to give you consent first.
Yeah.
Um, the next question is from Guy, again about referees. He's asking, should I always include the references on my CV or should I only provide them upon request?
So there are those employers or recruiters who will tell you that include references on your CV. You get. So it is good to put it there. But I've provided a reason as to why you should say available upon request. So you just put it there if you are comfortable putting it there and if the employer asks you to put it there. Some people are very specific in their job advert. They tell you put your CVs with references. So you should ensure that the references are there. If those kind of conditions are not there, you can still add them depending on how comfortable you are providing the list of those people. Remember to always talk to them first. You get. But
Okay,
the
great.
best practice is to always look at what the advert is asking for.
Okay, great. Thank you. Again, Callisto back is asking that if, for instance, I worked in the same position in different organizations in different years, similar duties, similar duties, should I only put one role instead of two or three, same position and roles, or they have to be all listed together?
Okay. So those are not the same things. They are different experiences because the contexts are different, the organizations are different. So list each organization separately. You cannot combine them. So you would say position A with the organization from this period to this period with what you've done separately, then for the other one, then for the other, even if it's the same role. Trust me, there is a lot of difference between what you've been able to achieve in organization A to organization B to organization C. Even if you held the same position, you would have performed different roles in that position in different organizations. So put them separately.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And then, yeah, we need to move very fast so that we are able to go to the next session. Yeah, the other one is just a comment. Someone is saying, yeah, the session is very interesting and I've learned a lot. And then James Kaman is asking, James Kaman is ask, okay, it's a comment. Personally, all this explanation is not helping me. I suppose we'll be doing the exemplary CV practical. After all, not everyone on this group must have applied for a job before. I totally have no idea what Brenda is explaining of this topic today. Sorry if I sound bad. I really want to learn. Okay, he's expressing, and I think maybe you can comment on that a bit. Yeah, but I think from my side is that J- James, you might have not been following the session from the start, because what we are practically saying is, like, usually before you work on a document, the first thing is you need to know what that document is made up of, and that is what we've just been explaining, the key components of a CV. Like, for example, let's say you you are doing, maybe let's say you're doing a research. Of course, you need to know what things do you need to include in that research, or you're writing a report. You need to know what the report is made up of, and that is the same thing. And then from there, and then we will go, after knowing all these components, the step-by-step guide of doing something, and then we can now go and look at the document itself. So probably you might have not understood like these things from the start, but then later also Brenda is going to show you an example of a CV, and I also assume that one of the assignments that you're going to have is to actually prepare your own CV based on all these explanations. So don't worry, you will sometime you will get to understand this probably before the session ends. And maybe Brenda, if you have a comment on that, you can put.
Okay, yeah. So sorry, James. I don't know if the name I got it right. And It's very important for us to explain what it means before we even look at what this document actually look like. If time allows, I'm going to show you my own CV. I'll show it for you and how I've written it. Then you can be able to see that all these sections that I'm talking about are actually there in the CV. If we had gone, for instance, if we are now creating a CV, we will start by writing. If I tell you the first component of CV is a contact information, then you should be able to now say, okay, this is what is required under contact. So you put those information. So it is part of the assignment for you to come up with a structured CV based on these components of the CV. But I'll show you what my CV looks like that can help you. Again, the intention is for you to understand what it means, what it looks like. We have different category of people here. It's
I remember, yeah, and even last time I remember showing on like on Google Docs on those document templates. When you go there, you can actually find samples of CVs from there. So the next question is from Anne. Anne is asking that concerning the reference, as a fresh graduate, can one put his or her lecturer, colleague, or supervisor during her dissertation as a referee?
Yes, you can do that. That's why I mentioned about academic references, because those are the people who can vouch for your uh, academic background. So it's important you can put them.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, let's move very fast. We have about 40 minutes left. So another one, this one, the name is not there, is the person is asking that should the reference page be a separate page? Like, shouldn't it be the same page with the other CV components?
No, it has to be just the CV and itself. It doesn't have to be a third page or fourth page. It is part of the CV. So when you're writing and you finish with everything, add the reference just there the way it is. Don't push it to go to another page just because you don't want to see it there. Put it there just after you've put everything. Add the reference. You don't need to push it to another page because it
Great,
forms
thank you.
part of the CV.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Yes, and just to reinforce that, also when you're putting your whoever is from the school, make sure you inform them that you are putting them as as your referee. And then Santos is asking that how many pages should a standard CV have?
Okay, so for a CV, you don't have a standard number of pages. You only have provisions for what is relevant for when you are applying for the job. For instance, if I have 7 years of experience, my CV length cannot be the same with somebody who has maybe 1 year of experience. You get. So the length is in terms of how many years of experience you have and what role you are applying for. So you are applying for a very senior role. I must be able to demonstrate a very considerable number of years throughout my CV. So my CV can go up to 3 to 4 pages. But if somebody is applying for a junior role and they do not need to demonstrate so many years of experience, then they can have a CV as long as 2 pages. So there is no standard rule written anywhere that you must have 1 page, 2 page, or 3 page of CV. The only rule applies for a cover letter that it must only fit within 1 page.
Yes, and then maybe just sometimes can be the requirement from the person who wants, like the employers. They may say your CV should not exceed
Exit. Yeah.
this number of pages, right?
Yeah. From some employers, they make provision for that. They tell you strictly, your CV should not exceed 3 page, should not exceed 2 page. They tell you that. When they tell you, make sure you are now following what they tell you. Yeah, don't write it to exceed what they want. So when they tell you 2 page, just put it 2 page and submit it the way it is.
Great. Thank you so much for answering the questions. Yeah, maybe you can take a break, maybe drink water, and then we can proceed to the cover letter as they sign the attendance for today. Is that okay?
Hello, Vida.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Yes. Yes, Brenda,
Hello.
you can take a break. Yes, proceed, please.
Is it Vida? Hello.
Yes, proceed. We can hear you.
Hello. Hello.
We can hear you, please. Kindly proceed.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear
Yeah,
you.
now
I
I hear
think
you.
Yes, yes. So Majok, please, you can proceed.
Okay. So just my internet has been interrupted by the electricity. I don't know if my question has been answered or not thereafter. When
Your
I was
question was
offline, I
answered.
just get,
Your
huh?
question, your question was answered. Your question was answered.
Oh, when I resume, I just get the one of the other guys. The responses for the other guys. This one of Bobby. This is what I get. I think
No,
I missed my question
yours is answered. Yours is answered. So yours available on request is where,
on request.
yes, available on request was
Does it mean
answered.
that you just write like that, or maybe?
You write clearly available on, you put the section title, the section subtitle, references, and then under the section subtitle you put available on request. So you write like that, available on request. So I've shared the link to the attendance in the chat. Please register your attendance. I've shared your attendance. uh, Majok, your network is very bad. We will respond to you in the chat box. We will write for you the response in the chat box so that you can read. So sorry about your network. And please, we have 2 minutes to fill the attendance. For those ones who are following on YouTube, I am putting the attendance link in the live chat. You should be able to, yes, yes. So at Majok, yes, you write available on request under the references section of your CV. It means that should should the employer want to contact your references, they should let you know so that you can send their details to them. Yes, so please fill in your attendance records for today. And for those ones who are following on YouTube, I have put also the attendance register on the live chat. You should be able to see it pinned, and then fill in your attendance record for today. Fill in your attendance record for today. Yes, it's been pinned. And then I see Kako, your question came in late. You are asking that concerning reference, am I allowed to change my reference when I inform them and yet the person doesn't comply and the owner reaches out to me to tell my reference to respond? Am I allowed to change the reference in that mode? Yes. So usually once the referee is not responding, despite the fact that you have informed them, usually some organizations may request that you give them another alternative contact, because some organizations may want your referees to fill some reference forms and stuff. So in such situations, usually you can communicate with the organization, or sometimes even the organization itself will communicate to you that this person is not responding. Are you able to provide us with another reference? So yeah, it's allowed, depending on the organization. James is saying, I've been following the same from the beginning. Yes, but I'm trying to understand that the topic is very important. I've never applied for a job before. That means I don't really have this standard CV, and I really want to know. Yes, it's going to be shown to you. You will. Yes. So you will be shown the standard CV. Also later on, I will show you when you go to the Google templates. You will actually the first section is for resumes. You should be able to see uh, how how everything looks like. Later on, Brenda said she's going to show you even her own CV, so that you see how everything looks like. So don't worry about that. That is well taken care of. Yeah, but the purpose is usually we have to build on from scratch. That's why we're starting from scratch before we go to the final outcome. And then Mark is saying, I've applied for several jobs, even I know I'm fit for the job, but I was never shortlisted for interview, and I don't know where my mistake is. Probably, I don't know if you have been following the session. So if you have been following the session from the beginning, from the contact information and so forth, you might have noticed one or two things. Um, Even yesterday, yesterday a friend of mine texted me and was telling me he's been looking for a job for 2 years now, and nothing seems to be working. Yeah, so sometimes such feedback is there. Yeah, but usually we have to be very aggressive. We have to be very aggressive. We have to also be very we have to also be very serious when it comes to tailoring our documents to help us stand out. To help us stand out, we have to make proper analysis of the jobs, and all these processes are very important. So Brenda, I think I can hand it over to you. So, gentlemen, I hope you have signed your attendance already. If you have not signed, the link is again in the chat box. If you are following on YouTube, the link has been pinned on the live chat, so you will be able to see it there. Over to you, Brenda, and let's proceed with the session, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bida and everybody. And we will just go through quickly on the cover letter. There's nothing really much to cover under cover letters. And as I mentioned earlier on, the cover letter is just the one-page document that will accompany your CV, you know. So while the CV shows what you have done, the cover letter explains why you are the right fit for the job and why you are motivated to apply for that particular role within that organization. Because you could have chosen to apply for any other role, you could have chosen to apply to any other organization, any other company, but you've chosen that company, you've chosen that role. So it must be able to demonstrate your motivation. You get. Then some of the key purposes or why a cover letter is important is that it introduces you to the employer in a more personal way, because then you are able to use this opportunity to talk to the employer at a very personal level. And then it highlights your most relevant skills and experiences from your CV. Every information that you are putting in your cover letter, it comes from your CV. So you would use that information and extract what is relevant, what demonstrates your level of fit into the CV. And then it also shows your level of motivation and passions for the role. And it helps you stand out from most of the candidates. We said that there are a number of people who apply for these roles, and through your cover letter, you were able to stand out from the rest of the candidates. People who normally just send in maybe a CV alone and all that. So you were able to stand out through your cover letter. It also gives insights to the employer in terms of your values and your personality and how they align to the role that you are applying for. Then, in terms of the structure of cover letter, it's very basic. Mostly, it have a number of sections that most people simply just put everything in one paragraph and they feel that it fits. It doesn't. So you should have an introduction where you state the position that you're applying from, where you show it from, and express your interest and enthusiasm to the role. Okay. So there are some sections before you talk about the introduction, obvious sections like where you put your name, phone, telephone number, and also the address of the employer, like the employer's name, title, and address and the date. Those ones you put them they form the header of the application. And then in terms of the greetings, you add a section on, let's say, if you know the person that you are writing to, you can put their so and so. And then some people say dear sir stroke madam, because you don't know if the person you're addressing is a male or female. And then there are people who indicate in the advert how you should address, for instance, like hiring manager, hiring team, and all of those. So you can put that. So it's a more like you're having a salutation to the person that you are writing to. So then the opening paragraph is the one that I talked about in terms of the introduction, where you state the position you are applying for, where and how you found out about the advert, and then you express your level of excitement, motivation, or why you demonstrate why you want to apply for that position. Then you provide a second paragraph. It can be one or two. You show how your skills and experiences match that of the requirements of the job. Provide specific examples in terms of achievements that you have had in your previous role. Explain what you bring to the table. What you bring to the table could be in terms of the achievement, of course. You should be able to demonstrate that. And then include some of the keywords that you've seen in the advert. That way you are able to mirror what is required in the job advert exactly in your cover letter. Then you close by reinforcing why you are still interested to work there in that particular organization. Highlight your alignment. How do you align yourself in terms of your value? Um, how does your value or personality align with the organization's vision, mission, and core values? And then include a call to action, like I look forward to an opportunity to discuss, something like that. It's more like a call to action where you're telling them you're open for discussions about your qualification and all of those. And then, of course, you provide a sign off in terms of your name. Some people actually print and sign it off with their signature and all that. Some people just say regards sincerely and all of that, and their name and close off. That's a signature enough. So it's adequate enough. Yeah. So those are some of the key features that should appear in your cover letter before you write it. So an example here I've put here in terms of your name, you write there correctly, the names as per your ID, and then also the name of the organization or company you're applying for, the greetings you provide, the opening paragraph, you mention the role you're applying for, where you show it, and all of those you mention. Middle paragraphs, it can be 2 paragraphs that highlights your fit for the role, very important. And then the closing paragraph, motivation, next step, uh, call to action, mission alignment, and all of those, and then the sign off. Now, some of the key tips for you to keep in mind when you're writing your cover letter is that it is just a 1 page document. It cannot exceed that, and always tailor it to the specific job advert. Do not repeat your entire CV in the cover letter because it will even exceed the 1 page. So make sure that you are sounding confident in terms of your language and choice of words. It should be warm and very professional when you are writing. So that's just an example. And then aligning with, okay. So just this example that I wanted to show you. If an advert say, for instance, they are looking for a self-motivated team player, excellent communication skills and project coordination experience, a strong cover letter line that would align to mirror your experience in terms of what the employer would look at should look something like this. In my previous role at ABC Foundation, I independently coordinated multiple donor funded projects and regularly led team briefings, skills that I believe align closely with your need for a self motivated communicator. That's how you are able to align or mirror what the advert is saying in terms of your application. So that's just one example of how you can align your cover letter. And then there are some common mistakes that we make when we are writing our cover letters. One of the mistakes is that we copy everything that is in the CV and exceed the requirement. The intention is not for you to copy your CV. The intention is for you to introduce what is in your CV in summary, so that when somebody is just looking at your cover letter alone, they are able to see the entire CV only. Yeah. Then we also use generic phrases and not tailor it to the specific advert. Most of the times we have people who even exceed 1 page for a cover letter, which is not supposed to be the case. And then we also forget to proofread, and we have cover letters that have a lot of spelling errors and all of those, poorly formatted documents and all of those. And then there is also no clear motivation indicated in terms of the role that we are applying for. So those are some of the mistakes that we make when we are writing our cover letters. And what we should be doing is to ensure that for each role that we are applying for, we customize our cover letters to that specific job and address it to a particular person. We said, if you don't know, dear sir, stroke, madam, dear hiring manager, and all of those will do. Don't just start writing without addressing it, and then match the tone of the organization, like the example I showed you up there, and then keep it very concise and very clear with a professional look. That way, somebody is motivated to go ahead and read the content of your cover letter. So before the assignment, I promised to show you some examples. So I'll stop sharing this screen and I'll pick out an example of what I'm talking about in terms of the cover letters and the CV. So I want to show you a very bad example of a cover letter from one of my applicants, but have removed the details just for privacy. Okay, let me just paste one. One moment. The screen and share. I'll do this. Just confirm that you're able to see this Word document that is just here. Yeah, so just give a thumbs up if you're able to see that. Okay, it looks clear. So this is a sample of a poorly written cover letter. This somebody is, there is nothing of everything that we've talked about in terms of the structure. There is a date that is here. This one is starting with the date, and then is putting the organization and HR office in one line, and duty station. Nobody talks about duty station. You've not gotten the job yet. And look at how they are putting the position they are applying for. You get. So typically this would not work out. When you look at this application letter, you already tell that this person is not properly aligning. Look at this, is this side aligned right, others are aligned left, some are centered like this one. So it doesn't give it that professional look. It looks like somebody is writing information that doesn't add up, and all of those you get. So it's
Someone
very,
is saying you blur the contact, you remove the contact, the phone number.
don't just copy it. So let me remove that just so you don't call the person. So yeah, this person, I will not think twice to tell you that this person is not a fit for the role they're applying for. Yeah. So you can see that if you apply like this, nobody is going to call you for any interview. First of all, we talked about salutation, it's missing. We talked about indicating level of motivation, it's missing. It doesn't show that she's a fit for the role that she's applying for. There is no, mention of serious experiences that could make her really, a fit for the job that she's applying for. So these are some of the examples of badly written cover letters that don't get us anywhere. You get, if you write like this, even if you do it for 5 years, you won't get an invite for any job opening. So this is a typical example. I hope we've been able to learn from this. We use the structure that we have already agreed upon. Provide the header, provide the greetings, yeah, and then provide an opening paragraph that highlights the position you're applying for, how you got to know about the opportunity, express your motivation, and then go ahead to showcase the skills and experience that are relevant for that job. You get, So it's very important. Somebody saying that would be me if I had not been here today. Yes, James, it's possible. And many of us make this mistake, and then we are wondering, oh, but I've been applying and I'm a fit. Why can't they call me? I will not call you because when I look at this, I will not even open the CV. I will just close this and put you in the list of people who are not a fit. You get. So please make sure that your CVs, your cover letters are communicating. Now, let me see if I can get you an example of a proper cover letter, maybe from myself if I have any that I used. Print applications. So I just have to stop sharing this one and just so you the screen. Then you can tell me what you think about it. Yeah, I won't be seeing the. Please confirm you can see this. I want to see. Yes, somebody is saying yes. We can see. Somebody is saying disadvantage of dodging English class. It's so funny. Yeah, and then. So this is an example of a cover letter that I had put out for CARE International. This is CARE South Sudan. Just to be sure that you can still see my screen. Yes. And yeah, so I've talked about the salutations here. You can see I've provided my details here, and then I've provided
Can
the
you please
details
make it
of
on screen? Yeah, Miranda.
That's okay.
Now you have zoomed it out. You need to zoom it in so that it can fit the screen because some of the text we are not seeing.
Is this okay? I will be scrolling like this because it's okay. Let me just put 100. It will be tiny. You can't see the content if I put it at 100.
No, you increase instead. Increase, and then
Yeah,
you will be scrolling.
increase is
For me,
okay
but I
so
don't
that
know.
you are able to see. Then I can just scroll through like that, but it's one page. So yeah. So we talked about the header. We'll see it here. I've provided my own details here. And then I've provided the address of the employer here. And I said, dear hiring manager, you get. Then I've provided this one to reference the application or the position that I was applying for, like that. Then, so I am writing the first paragraph. What did we say? The first paragraph, state the position you are applying for, mention how you found it, express your enthusiasm or your level of motivation. So I said, I'm writing to express my keen interest in the HR manager position at Care International as advertised on Angel Forum, with a solid background in human resource and a passion for fostering a positive work environment. I'm excited about the opportunity. Now, from this part, I'm excited is where you are talking about the motivation you get. So the motivation is that I'm excited about the opportunity to contribute to your team and drive the organization's HR initiatives forward. I am confident in my ability to contribute effectively to your team. You get. So that is my motivation and that is my enthusiasm. And then the middle paragraph is in terms of, what did we say? Middle paragraph, show your skills, show your experience, match them to that of the role, showcase, provide examples, achievements of what you've done, and all of those. Middle paragraph. All right. In my 7 years of experience in HR management, I have developed a comprehensive skill set that aligns perfectly with the requirements of the role. At Coalition for Humanity, I successfully led initiatives to streamline recruitment processes. Now, this whole section is explaining how my experience, like what I've done in the past. And all of this, you could see it later in the CV in terms of what I've already done. And then I'm also mentioning why I'm particularly drawn to CARE. It's because of their reputation for innovation, commitment to employee development. Now, you would be wondering, oh, where did I get this? Where did I get to know about what drives CARE? You could find them on their website. They talk about things that are important to them in terms of their value and all of those. So those are the bases that I use to create this statement. And then I'm saying that I'm eager to leverage my expertise in HR strategy, development, and employee relations, and all of those to support the company's growth objectives and contribute to its ongoing success. And then what I bring to the table, I've provided quite a number of them. Now, you do not need to bullet it if it's not important for you, or there are not so many, you can provide them in summary or one paragraph. But I decided to bullet it. Either way, it's okay as long as you do not exceed the number of pages. So I've provided quite key things that I bring to them to the table. Then we said, lastly, closing paragraph. Closing paragraph, re-emphasize your enthusiasm. You get, re-emphasize it, highlight your alignment with the organization, and also provide a call to action. You get. So I'm saying that I'm excited about the opportunity to join CARE International and contribute to its ongoing success. And I'm confident that my skills and experience make me a strong fit for the HR manager role they are having. And I am very eager to bring my passion for HR excellence to their team. You see, I'm trying to re-emphasize the entire motivation that I have at the end of all of this. Now, call to action is appreciating again them for considering my application. I look forward to the possibility of discussing how my background, skills, and achievement aligns with the needs of CARE International, and my CV is attached. Warm regards, this is the part of the sign off, and then my name. So that's how a well-written cover letter would look like. You do not need to do that word by word, what I've written, but ensure that in terms of your structure, all of this information is available in your own cover letter. Okay, so let me just look for a copy of my CV that I can share with you. There are quite a number of versions.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. If you have any final questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the chat box so that you can have them answered. Otherwise, today marks the fourth session in the fellowship. I hope that you are picking one or two things and learning from it. And by the way, yesterday I realized some of you are not in the Your Skill Boost WhatsApp groups. So the Your Skill Boost WhatsApp groups is where we share a lot of career opportunities. So if you are not there, please you join. I'm going to. There are two groups. There's Your Skill Boost one, and the one is full. So one it cannot accept more members. It's full. And then two is still a space. So if you are not part of any of those two groups, please you join. You join any of the two. I'm going to drop the link in the chat box, and also I will leave it in the group. But if you are in if you are in one, don't join this link because I will not approve your joining request. So I'm leaving the link in the fellowship group because we get to share even career advice and stuff. So you click on that link, you join, and then also I hope that most of you Yeah, so I've shared the link here. Tap on that, and you should be able to join the group. That is your skill boost 2. One is full, so but please, if you're in one, don't click that one. Yes. Uh,
Okay.
yes. And please, when you're doing your CVs, you do on Google Docs. Actually, when you do on Google Docs, it's going to be easy for you to just make a copy of your CV and then just edit and refine it for the next job you're applying for. And please don't use one CV for every role you're applying for. And then yeah, so I'm checking. Please, if you are in one, don't join two. Okay, yeah, I see Winnie is not in any. So Winnie, your request is approved. I see Kim, yes, Kim. Also, you are not in any, so your request is approved. Then let me see, K Mena. K Mena. Hey, you are in. Okay, yes, you are not also there. Your request is approved. So all those ones who have just joined, their requests are approved. Yes. So we share a couple of opportunities there, including networking opportunities for events that we come across. We usually share there. So
Okay, so can you confirm you were able to look at this CV? Yeah, so we talked about you providing your contacts the same way that I've provided here. You provide your names and contacts, telephone, email, and all that, because then they should be able to reach you on your telephone number and email. Most times, I received some applications in the past, and people forget to even put their telephone number, forget to put an email. And then when you write back, the email bounces and all that. Ensure that the details you're providing in terms of your contact are always very correct. And then we talked about providing a professional summary. Here is an example of what I've written. This is some CV like I've used back in 24, I think. Yeah. So a summary, you can see what summary I've provided here, like one paragraph of the pitch in terms of my years of experience, the skills that I bring on board that I can effectively contribute to any organization. You can see that. And then I've also provided my education background. You can see I've highlighted mainly three master's degree, and a bachelor's degree. So I'm only putting that because the assumption is that for me to have held a master's, I should have completed a bachelor's degree. You get. So I don't put like any other like diploma or certificate here because like I have these ones, I was prioritizing what is relevant. So I did not add all of them here. Then, in terms of skills, I have provided quite a number because I was applying for like an international role. So I've provided all key sections, key skills in terms of the role that I was applying for. You can see a lot of both core skills and also soft skills. And then in terms of the experience, you can see that I've provided the title here, the organization is here, the location is here, then the date is here as well, the way you said it. And then in terms of the roles, you can see how I've provided it. It shows achievement. We agreed that we are able to demonstrate achievement, not just listing the roles. So I said, spearheaded the development and implementation of a strategic HR planning initiative, resulting in a streamlined recruitment process and a 33% reduction in a time to fill. So that is an achievement, and I've been able to demonstrate that in that particular function that I did. So throughout, you should be able to demonstrate what you have achieved throughout. Then that is one experience, another experience all through, another experience all through. Some, because the role was remote and international, I provided some of the tools that I'm familiar with, because sometimes when you're applying for remote roles, they want to see what tools are you comfortable using. So I provided some. And then what trainings have I attended that are relevant to the role that I'm applying for. I've provided them here. And all these sections now, from the training to the research and all of these, are in terms of the achievements that I talked about, because these certifications provides proof of what achievements that you have. And then some research work in terms of what research I've done, how I've published it, or if it is school related. If it's not published, then all of those have provided them based on the requirement for the advert. And then I've provided language, it is English because they had asked for one. And then rephrase, you see what I've written, available upon request. This was somebody's question, how to write it. You just put that statement, available upon request. You don't do anything. So when they write to me now to provide it, meaning they are actually considering me for the role. So then I'm comfortable now writing to them, providing the list of the referees. So that's a sample of how your CV should look like in terms of the section and every other thing that we've covered so far. I'll stop sharing now. And if there are any other question, we'll go back. Yeah. Over to you, Bida. I think we are, yeah, 2 minutes past.
Okay, if there is an assignment, you can share.
Okay. Just go back to assignment.
Hello, Brenda.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
So I have simple question after looking at your CV.
Yes.
So the question is, many of the CV that I have come across are using tables for maybe the academic and the experience and also achievement. I don't know if this one up to date now or it's all part of the CV.
Yeah. You're saying?
so is
I'm
I
saying
got
what?
his question. I got your question. I will just say to her. So she's asking
Mm.
the use of tables, like the use of tables for listing the experiences or educational background.
Oh, or why I did not use it in my own CV.
No, he's asking whether it's good to use tables, rows and columns.
Oh, okay. So there are two different things. So I was applying for a remote role, and most ATS are not very good with tables and all of those. So it could literally throw away your application. That's why I don't use it. Some people use it, and as long as you are able to format it and it looks neat, it's still okay, as long as it has all the content and information that somebody's looking for. You get. So it's okay to use it, and it's also okay not to use it. Like the way you've looked at my CV, you've seen that it is neat enough, but it doesn't have a table. Yeah. But I could still put the same information in a table format and it still looks neat enough. You get. So it's just your choice in terms of the structure of CV you've chosen for yourself, whether you want to have them in form of a table or not.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Uh, I'm Samuel. Thank you for the presentation. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, actually, I have two questions, and one you just tackled it, but I would like you to at least help me with it because I've been through this like for the series, and the structures and the types that you really give to me. It's really clicks to me that there are really types of CV that I also came through in my life. And concerning the structure of the series, as you mentioned, like according to what I've seen on a CV, it's kind of like unique, And for us who are used to this kind of structure, tabling, uh, it has been like a new thing to us today. But I would like to ask, like, according to you now, like, how come? Like, how have you come to realize which one of them could really be the best to use? And the second question concerning the later, the cover later. The cover letter, like I also came across, concerning that parts of the addresses. Sometimes you find the address of the addressee and the address of the addresser. Like sometimes you find them aligned in the same side, and also, other one will be on the left side, and the other one will be on the right side. So, like concerning the address, so could you elaborate more on how you should put the address? Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll start off with the CV format, and if you ask me personally, I'll recommend that you don't use the tables. If you ask me, because and they are not neat enough. For instance, look at this. I don't know if you can see my CV. Um, like it is just neat enough. Yeah, just the way it is, no tables. But imagine we insert a funny table, let's say there, we go to insert a table. You get something like that. Do you see how it it changes how it looks? So imagine you have to put, yeah. For some people it's okay, but that version of it is quite not okay, and it's been outdated already. So try to ensure that you use paragraphs instead of tables in your CV. That's if you ask me. But I'm not saying that when you use the table, it's a bad thing. It's a good thing. Nobody can judge you by putting a table. It's really not even that serious. But in terms of the layout and the structure, it's just okay to like not have a table in it. Yeah. So that's it. And then in terms of the cover letter address and format, yeah. So there are different ways people format addresses, and it can be very confusing. And there are mainly two options. And mostly for NGOs, UN job, and all of those, everything is aligned to the left. You get, and that's why you've seen mine is aligned to the left. So you align to the left. That is the traditional method for all letters. You get, like a cover letter is also a letter. So for all letters, everything is aligned to the left. That's why you see the addresses and everything is aligned to the left. And that has been the most traditional address. But of course, there are others that are modern that would align to the right as well. But for because the employer will not tell you that you put this to the left or right. You get, just in terms of a formal letter, you could just choose to put um, everything to the left. That way, it is more neater. Because if you put to the right, you have to be careful, because when you are addressing it to the right, you have to put the one for the person you are writing to first. Yeah, in terms of how you are addressing a letter. Then yours, of course, and all of those, which is a bit confusing. There are even those who put it in the center, in the middle of it, in terms of addressing it. So there are different types of letters that are out there. So you choose one that is comfortable for you, but I prefer that you use the center left, or like aligned left option. That is more easier to use, easier to remember, and easier for neatness and reference for majority of the people. Yeah. So I'm telling you, some of the things I'm telling you are from my experience also. So it's important for you to know that this is from experience, not that it is a rule that has been written somewhere. Just remember that it's not like a rule written anywhere. Just from experience, it's good to do it a certain way, because then it's easier to align with what most people are looking for out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you so much, Brenda. Like that's why I ask it from your perspective, since you
Yeah, yeah.
have experience of that kind, and it's
Okay.
kind of like neat for me with like the structure that you had in your CV. It's kind of nice, and I really love it. So thank you for
Okay.
that. And the other question you also, like, you really answered it, and I've seen that, like, I can remember back in days, we use that kind of structure of formatting of writing a cover letter. The address of the addressee
Mm.
will be on the right, and the other one will be on the left. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I really get it. And lastly, if I'm not asking much, like, after writing now the former, like, you're writing your name. I can see some people are putting their number, at the end after writing their names in the cover letter. So I would like you to also say something about it. And thank you. That's
They're
it.
putting their numbers after the name.
Yeah, sure. Like after the name, though, they put the numbers.
So at the signature, what is meaning is at the
Yeah,
signature.
at the signature, then yeah,
Or
then
for the cover for the
for the
cover
cover
letter.
letter.
Yes,
Yeah,
cover
for the
letter.
cover
Okay.
letter.
So you don't need to repeat that because you remember when I showed you my cover letter, it had my name and contact. You get on top,
Yeah.
like my name, the telephone number, and the email and my address. It was up there. Only that I've
Yeah.
closed the document. So like
Okay.
I cannot
I've seen
again
it.
come and repeat the same telephone number down here in the signature. And some people sign physically, you get. But me, I decide to use my names the way they are as a signature. So I cannot again bring the number here. So I have put it up there. It's okay. It's enough. But I cannot bring it down here. So there is no need for you to put it here if it's already up there. And it's always good for it to be up there because that's the address. That is who you are. Like that's your address. That the contact, the email, the physical location, and all of those is the address.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So this is what our assignment looks like before we go back to the chat for some of the questions that are there. So you would tailor your CV and cover letter based on the advert that you've picked for analysis yesterday. So that is just the only question that is there. Go back to your advert, the one that you've picked, the one that you'll analyze, then use that to tailor a particular CV as if you are applying. For those of us who've picked the real advert, we will apply. For those of us who've picked something that we've done in the past or we did not find an active one, do it as if you're going to apply. So you tailor a CV and then a cover letter for the same. That's the assignment.
Okay, then yeah, you can just leave your screen on sharing, and then I read the questions for you. Yes. So yeah, we quickly go through the questions.
Okay.
Yeah, Santos Kajokore Santo is asking. I request to know if it is okay to put your personal address. No, that was already answered. So it's already answered. You can put it on the top left or the top right. It's all okay. So it's already answered. And then the other ones are just comments. And then someone is asking, what is the font size you can use in both writing the CV and cover letter? And even I think possibly you could also recommend for them some good font types to use, because not all font types are good.
Okay. So normally for all official, because like the CV and the cover letters are official documents. So for you, you should be able to use a few font types I can recommend in term like new Times New Roman. You can use Times New Roman. You can use Cambria. You get. Then you can use Arial. You can use Calibri, and then also you can use Book Antique. I like Book Antique a lot. All of things that I write, including this one, you see, is Book Antique. I want to show you where to change it. I highlight something. Yeah. So you can use some of those in terms of what you're writing. And then in terms of the font sizes, usually it's good to work with 12. Most times I write with 11, but 12 is okay because then it makes the document more visible. So use font size 12, and spacing should be 1.5. Those are for professional writings or professional documents. And then if there are sections or headings, you can put them bold, and then you can increase the font to maybe 14. Yeah. Let them not be at the same size as the rest of the sections. For instance, if you look at the word assignment CV, and you would see that it is in a different font size. Yeah. But maintain the font type throughout the document the same. Don't change font types. Use the same font type, but the sizes should depend on whether, if it's a content of the document, it should remain the same size and spacing and all that. And if it is a heading, you can increase a bit the heading and make it bold. So you put bold and then you increase the font size. And throughout the document, maintain 1.5. Most times, sometimes you can use even one spacing, because when you write a lot for the one page, like cover letter, if you reduce it to one, it will help you fit everything easily, because 1.5 usually space up everything, and then you may see that your document is going up to page 2. So if it's exceeding one page, reduce the font size to 11 and put spacing 1 at 1 instead of 1.5. And then the normal font types that you can use, yeah, that I've mentioned: Times New Roman, Calibri, Georgia, Arial,